last night, it was Kamala's turn. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, Kamala Harris took the stage last night in by far the most important, biggest moment of her entire political life. And she delivered what the media said was one of the best, most aspirational, electrifying, energetic speeches they had ever heard in convention history. I'm not kidding. They wouldn't stop gushing. Brit Hume on Fox News, magnificent. Brett Baier, Martha McCallum, over and over again, said how much it moved so many people in that convention center. What a great, powerful speech it was. CNN, they were delirious. Euphoria in MSNBC. I mean, she's Abraham Lincoln. She's Barack Obama. She's Margaret Thatcher. She's FDR. But all of it rolled in one. This was historic. This was beyond historic. On it went. The fawning, gushing, sycophantic coverage. Honestly, my friends, I have never, ever seen such vile, disgusting, naked propaganda in my entire life. Really, it is so over the top that I have to ask myself, really, how much more BS, you know what I really want to say, how much more of it can the American people take? I mean, you want to talk about a sell job. So, she delivered her speech. First of all, what was noteworthy about it was unlike the other primetime speeches, the big keynote speeches, this one actually had a relatively decent time to it. It wasn't at 11:30 or midnight. So she got on stage at about 10:30, roughly, and the speech lasted for about 40 minutes. Half of it was about her biography. What struck me the most about her speech was it was practically, not completely, and I'm going to get to this in a second, but it was practically content-free. It was a bland speech. There was no bold vision. There were no big, compelling ideas. By the way, it's as if for much of that speech, she was never vice president. Once in a while, she would try to take credit for things. So, she was vice president, but then she's not vice president. But for much of the speech, you would not know that she was actually vice president of the United States for the last 3.5 years. And not only vice president, I can play you the cuts till the cows come home. I'm talking literally hundreds and hundreds of times where she said, or Joe Biden said, she's a co-president. She's the last person to leave the room. Afghanistan, I relied on her. On the Inflation Reduction Act, she cast, the tie-breaking vote. I relied on her. On the border, I gave her the portfolio. She was the border czar. I said, deal with the border. None of that. She never mentioned her record as vice president ever throughout the entire speech. And look, I thought it was an underwhelming speech. I thought it was a vague speech. It felt like a 40-minute infomercial. Like a commercial that's trying to sell you a product. And so they're just using constant buzzwords. Hope, joy. In fact, to give you a sense of the speech, I don't want to go through the whole 40 minutes. I don't want to put you to sleep. But the artificial, inauthentic, completely fake nature to the speech. And I got to say this. She came across as a phony. She came across as a complete fake. As I said, completely inauthentic. First of all, if you notice, the Obama people have completely taken over her campaign. So they're using Obama-like rhetoric, Obama-esque phrases. So it's hope and joy. Just hope and joy, and smile and laugh a lot. She went on. Remember Obama in 2008? We're not blue states. We're not red states. We're the United States. She tried to echo very similar sentiments. I put country over party. I want everybody to vote for me. I'm all about unity. So it was this phony Obama hope and change message, or in her case, hope and joy message. But really, when you drill down, it was nothing more than vague, meaningless platitudes. Words after words after words that really don't signify anything. Don't believe me? Listen to this. Roll cut 1, Mike.
Let us show each other and the world who we are and what we stand for. Freedom, opportunity, compassion, dignity, fairness, and endless possibilities.
I mean, just blah, 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 blah. I mean, what do you mean by that? I mean, they're just, like, what do you mean? Freedom, dignity, opportunity, justice, truth, endless possibilities. You could just go on and on and on. That's what I mean. It was a really underwhelming speech. Forgive me, Fox News. Forgive me, CNN. Forgive me, MSNBC. Now, as for the little content that was there, this was a speech of a globalist, by a globalist, for the globalists. Right away, one of the few things she did on policy was she came out attacking Trump's call for tariffs. The very tariffs that are going to save millions of manufacturing jobs and help boost the wages of struggling blue-collar, working, and middle-class families. No. She's a free trader and a globalist through and through. So she attacked Trump's tariffs. She then explicitly called for amnesty for illegal aliens. As part of this, I believe in a comprehensive border bill, border security, and earned amnesty at the same time. So she's now openly embracing, in the speech, amnesty for every single illegal alien in the country. She called for an endless war in Ukraine. She didn't, in other words, no talk of peace whatsoever. No talk of ending this possibility, a very real possibility of World War III. The bloodshed, the fighting, the killing. No. She wants more weapons, more funding, more money. She wants the war in Ukraine to go on year after year. Endless war in Ukraine. She called for an independent Palestinian state. She tried to have it both ways. She supports Israel. She supports the Palestinians. The Israelis have the right to defend themselves, but, they're committing atrocities in Gaza. So she wants peace in Gaza. So basically everything. She's pro-Israeli. She's pro-Palestinian. She's, Israel can defend themselves, but don't defend yourself. So she just tried to please everybody. But in the end, she called for a Palestinian state. Now, if you look at the heart of her speech, the little that focused on content, it was globalism, it was leftism, it was Democrat platitude after Democrat platitude. But let me tell you the three areas that there's no question that they are going to go on hard. Number one, she is a complete radical on abortion. She's a radical on borders. She's a radical on giving amnesty to illegals. She is a complete radical on abortion. In fact, their whole theme of freedom for the last 4 days, what it really means, this is their freedom, that you can abort the baby all the way up to 9 months, even when the baby is alive. Because in some states like New York and California, they have post-birth abortion. In other words, the baby's born, the baby's healthy, the baby is 36 weeks or 38 weeks or whatever, and if you still don't want the baby, even though the baby is out, the baby's a happy baby, it's got 2 arms, 2 legs, a heart, a liver, a kidney, it's a baby. You can still kill it. These people are sick. And that she says that she will codify Roe versus Wade with no exceptions. In other words, unlimited abortion on demand, all including partial birth abortion, all the way up to 9, until the baby is born. And even then, who knows? Guns. She went on and on about the need for sweeping gun control. So, and Trump, evil orange man. That Trump is a dictator, a threat to our democracy, and that we must save democracy by voting for her and the Democrats in November. In other words, she gave us warmed over Bidenism. Okay, it's official now. Kamala Harris is the Democratic presidential nominee. She delivered her acceptance speech last night. My question to you, did you like it? Did you not like it? 6:20 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Okay, so let me just put a final exclamation point on the Kuhner man's opening monologue, and then I want to go right to you, the great audience of Kuhner Country. We're going to load up the phone lines, and we're going to start taking your calls. 617-266-6868 is the number. So I don't know if you caught this or not, but this is how fake and phony and utterly inauthentic her entire speech was. Now that she's, in complete control of Obama's team, and everyone that ran his 2008, 2012 campaigns have been called back to run her campaign. And if you notice now, it's not just on the messaging, the vague hope and change, or as I said in her case, hope and joy, these buzzwords, these vague, meaningless platitudes, this, we're not blue states, we're not red states, we're the United States, but her mannerisms as well. Her cadence, her intonation, she's copying Obama now. She's changing her accent a little bit to sound more like Obama. If you notice her hand gestures, now at times she kept hitting the microphone, and she was like, sometimes her hands went a little wild. But for the most part, look at the way Obama speaks, and look at the way now, this is a new thing, look at the way that Kamala now speaks. It's completely new on her part. The way she moves her hands, and the way she points her fingers, and again, the cadence and the pacing when she's mimicking Obama. There is nothing authentic or real in this woman whatsoever. Whatsoever. And to me, yes, the dress was nice, whatever. The outfit she had was nice. The makeup was nice. The backdrop was nice. Yes, unlike Biden, she's able to read the teleprompter and finish it from beginning to end and not stumble over her words and have a little energy and pep as she delivers it. But man, oh man, this woman screams phony. You want to talk about someone who's lying to your face again and again and again. And that's the other thing that struck me about her entire speech. It was riddled with lies. I mean, blatant, outright falsehoods, outrageous falsehoods. And yet, as I told Grace last night, this was past midnight, it was like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, I was fuming. Because I was looking at the media, and I'm going online, and I'm looking at the reaction to the speech. No one was calling out any of her most outrageous, obvious lies and falsehoods, frankly, at times defamations. And as I told Grace, I'm not glamorizing the press corps of 30, 40 years ago. They were mostly biased partisan hacks, but they had some professional dignity. They did. They had some professional integrity. You know, hey, look, I'm going to vote for this. You know, I'm going to vote for the Democrat, but that's just not true. Like, no, I'm sorry, that's just not true. Like, they would say that. They'd say, well, no, that's not accurate. What was on display last night from the media, holy mackerel. It was fawning, gushing, sycophantic, the cheerleaders. And I'm like, can't you just point out some obvious lies? Trump wants to impose a national ban on abortion. That's what she claimed. That's a lie. Trump wants to cut Social Security and Medicare. That's a lie. Trump wants to impose a national sales tax. That's a lie. Trump is going to raise taxes on ordinary average Americans. On what planet does he want to raise taxes on average ordinary Americans? That's a lie. Trump is going to jail, literally, I'll play you the cut later. He's going to jail and imprison journalists. He's going to jail and imprison political opponents. Where are you getting this bull crap? Slanderous lie after slanderous lie. The only people that are jailing their political opponents is you. The only people spying on Americans and on journalists is you. But on it went. And suddenly now, Trump is buddies with Hitler. Sorry, with Putin. Putin is Hitler. Trump is Hitler. The two Hitlers are together now. And according to her, Trump egged Putin on. He said 5 days before the invasion, go, Vladimir, take Ukraine, take it all. What are you smoking, lady? When did he ever encourage Putin to go and take Ukraine? In other words, it was disgusting, vile lie after vile lie. And nobody in the media called her out on it. And the most frightening thing of all were the lemmings and the zombies in the crowd. And this is what I told both Sandy and Mike this morning and what I told Grace, three hours ago. I said, to me, that's the most frightening thing of all. To see them all. One actually had their eyes spinning. Literally spinning. They were just, you want to talk about a cult. Crying with all emotion and looking up at her going, Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. That they believe all this garbage. Ay, ay, ay. 6:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Comrade Kamala. It was her night last night. She is now the official Democratic presidential nominee. So did you see her speech? What did you make of her speech? Was it a success? Do you think it got, at least for the Democrats, got the job done? And the more pertinent question to me and to this incredible audience, and frankly to the country, and this is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Is Kamala Harris a threat to Donald Trump? In other words, now the Democrats have had their convention, 4 days, 4 nights. They brought out all the big guns, a lot of glitz, a lot of glamour, a lot of Hollywood celebrities, musicians, you name it. They brought out the Obamas, the Clintons. They had the president, Joe Biden, on Monday. It was late, but still he delivered a speech. And of course, last night she capped it all off. Is Kamala a threat to Donald Trump? A, yes. B, no. Do you feel now she has a real possible chance of winning in November? You can vote on our webpage, WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner. KUH, and as in National ER. You can also vote via X, active on X, my handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report. Again, KUH, and as in National ER. Okay. Two other super quick points, and then we're loading up the lines, and I'm going to go to the phone calls. 617-266-6868. Okay. Number one, what struck me about the entire speech was it really was Bidenism, as I said earlier, warmed over. Basically, it's the same policies as Joe Biden. A little wrinkle there, a little wrinkle here. In fact, on two key issues, taxes and, of course, the price controls, more radical than Biden and dangerously more radical than Biden. But I'm talking about last night's speech. If you just watch the speech, what you're really getting is you're getting another 4 years of Biden. Biden, it's going to be, instead of Biden-Harris, it's Harris-Waltz. So you're going to get more inflation. You're going to get more illegal immigration. You're going to get more crime. You're going to get more fentanyl. You're going to get more drugs. You're going to get more homelessness. You're going to have more wars. The fundamentals are not going to change. More debt, more deficits. I could go on and on. So in terms of, did she really break from Biden? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, I think this is giving Trump a massive opening. We're going to see if he's going to take advantage of it. Secondly, they lied. They lied not just about Trump, to show you what a bunch of disgusting liars these Democrats are, and they really should be ashamed of themselves. They kept plugging, teasing, promoting that there was going to be a musical superstar. We don't want to say who. Is it Beyonce? Is it Taylor Swift? Who the hell? Who is it going to be? But somebody's going to show up tonight. Big. Oh, you got to tune in. You got to tune in. It turns out it was a lie. Just to get people to watch. To get more eyeballs. So they would eventually stay and wait, thinking, oh, we're waiting for Taylor Swift. Oh, we're waiting for Beyonce. And then eventually they're going to watch Kamala Harris's speech. That was the strategy. So Beyonce's people, to their credit, came out and said, we had nothing scheduled with the Democratic National Convention. Ever. We had nothing scheduled with the DNC. Taylor Swift's people, I don't know what they're talking about. We had nothing scheduled with them. So the way they lied all week, the way she lied in her speech, the way they have deliberately manipulated the voting public, they did it again. And this was to pull in younger voters, maybe voters who've never voted before, or whatever, whoever, independents, people who just like Beyonce and Taylor Swift, because they both have massive followings. And say, hey, you want to watch them? Yeah. Just tune in. Who will it be? Who will it be? And the whole time, they knew they were never going to show up on stage. Now, why? Can you imagine if Trump did that as an example? The media would have crucified him. Crucified him. Nothing. All you heard last night was how great the speech was, how great the convention was, how great she is. And you can see now, the media is all in. They're going to prop this woman up, and they are going to carry her to victory in November. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, so let me ask you, did you watch last night's speech? What did you make of it? The Democratic convention is over. If you believe the national polls, it is now a dead heat. In fact, in some national polls, she's slightly ahead. In the battleground states, it is neck and neck. In some of them, she's ahead or it's tied. Is it time now for Trump to start ringing the alarm bells? Should he be worried? Or do you think Trump still has time to win this election? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Bruce in Woburn. You're going to kick us off, Bruce. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Jeff, can I give one more time?
Well, that was basically her speech last night. I mean, it was, whoa, you want to talk about being a moonbat. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, this had every left-wing Democrat talking point in it.
Brainless, meaningless. It was not a nothingness thing, Jeff. It was gross. I almost threw up my Popeyes chicken dinner. It was that bad. I mean, I didn't even want to listen to it, watch it, but I did with disgust. Just utter disgust. She had nothing to say about her accomplishments being vice president. She didn't even mention vice presidency. She just, and the crowd ate it up. Like she's like, oh, God bless America. Are you kidding me? She's goddamned America. Her, the Bidens, Obamas, they're all in the soup. And it's a really nasty soup, Jeff. It's something that you wouldn't even want to taste. And we're tasting it, and it's just disgusting. Totally disgusting.
Bruce, of course I agree with you completely. You know that. I'm not 100, as I like to say, 1,000%. But that's you, that's me, that's this audience. The question I really want to know is, to the average viewer out there who doesn't follow politics the way we do, who, to the independent voter, to the voter that's not sure, will they vote for Trump or vote for Kamala? Did it deliver the message the Democrats wanted to deliver? In other words, was it an effective speech? 650 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. A lot of reaction coming in on Kamala's speech last night. Comrade Kamala. This is from 603. Jeff, what do Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and Kamala's policies and ideas all have in common? None of them made it to the stage at the DNC. I mean, I gotta say, it really was practically content-free. You want to talk about style over substance. You want to talk about, vague, meaningless platitudes. You want to talk about, constant lying. It turned my stomach. There were moments I'm watching this speech, I go, this is really disgusting on so many levels. But look, I'm going to agree with Mike, one of our, our assistant producer. And, we were talking off air and he said, look, Jeff, you see through it. I see through it. Most of the audience here sees through it. But if you're an uninformed voter or a low information voter and you just tune into this speech, he goes, I bet they ate it up. It hits all the right sort of emotional notes, hope and joy, and, we're all together, and we'll just lower the price of everything, and don't you worry, and, I'll secure the border, and, we're all, all this happy talk. And, and forget that I've been in power for the last 3.5 years. Forget my policies, forget my record, forget my past, forget my behavior, forget everything. Just together we'll do it, and, let's just keep good vibes. And this, as Mike pointed out, he goes, Jeff, the Democrats' biggest weapon is the media. Because he goes, you're right. He goes, I'm switching channel to channel, station to station, and they're all praising her. No one's pointing out the obvious, blatant, repeated lies or mistruths, or you want to talk about misinformation and disinformation. Okay, disinformatio, as the Russians put it. That's all the speech was. It was one giant infomercial packed with misinformation and lies. But he says all that these low information voters are going to hear is great speech, magnificent speech, oh, powerful, historical, oh my God, one of the best convention speeches I've ever heard. So they're all like, well, okay. I mean, if the media is saying it was a great speech, okay. They're selling her to us the way they sold Obama in 2008. He's a packaged commodity. And you keep it vague. You keep it nebulous. You let people throw out buzzwords. And, I'm going to create an opportunity society. I'm like, well, what does that mean? And you see the lemmings, the zombies in the crowd? Yeah, yeah. To me, honestly, that's the scariest thing of all. That, to me, as I said to Grace last night, those are Hitler's rallies in Nuremberg. I remember those are my visits behind the Iron Curtain when my family took me as a young boy. And you'd see these crowds like, the Communist Party, yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're crying and tears are coming down and they're our savior, they're our salvation, we so believe in you. And you see these idiots in the convention center. Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. I'm like, she's not saying anything. Really, the most bland, cliched phrases. Together we'll fight and we'll win. Like, what does that mean? Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. It was scary. I'm telling you, it was scary. And as Sandy pointed out before the show, she said, Jeff, did you see that one convention person? Literally, eyes were spinning. Like, working themselves up so much in this kind of hysteria and euphoria that literally the eyes were spinning. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, listen now to Kamala Harris. Roll cut 1A, Mike.
We are the heirs to the greatest democracy in the history of the world. And on behalf of our children and our grandchildren and all those who sacrificed so dearly for our freedom and liberty, we must be worthy of this moment.
They're crying. I mean, it's really, I'm serious. You got to see the convention. They're crying, they're tearing up, they're sobbing, they're wailing, you should see them. Like it's like a mass cult. It was, it's frightening. The emotionalism, the blind loyalty, and again, nothing. You're sitting around like, well, what are you offering for me? What are you offering for my family? Besides this, hope and joy and good vibes and, this feel-good emotionalism, this cheap emotionalism. What else are you offering? Let me give you one more cut. I'm going to go right back to the lines. This is her saying, yep, we got to fight. We got to fight because, my friends, we're going to start a whole new chapter in American history. And I'll tell you what that chapter is, my friends. It's called communism. Roll cut 1C, Mike.
So let's get out there. Let's fight for it. Let's get out there. Let's vote for it. And together, let us write the next great chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told. Thank you. God bless you and States of America. Thank you all.
This is what Tucker Carlson said. I'm going by a texter who sent me Tucker's remarks. So I'm just going by, what this texter sent me. This is what Tucker said about Kamala's speech last night. He, quote, really scary. He said it was a very scary speech. Quote, she's much more skillful than I have ever seen. She's a liar on the deepest level. The things she is saying right now are not just untrue. They are the opposite of the truth, which is the hallmark of evil. There you go. And I completely agree with him. Look, what I saw last night was a stone cold sociopath. What I saw last night was a woman, to be frank, who clearly slept her way to the top, who then stabbed her own boss in the back, Joe Biden, who negated the entire Democratic primary. They're going on about democracy. This woman never got one vote. She literally threw away the votes of 14 million primary voters. And she's going on about Trump being the enemy of democracy. I'm like, it's you. Who helped orchestrate the coup? You. Who overthrew the president? You. I mean, every step of the way. So what I see is a ruthless opportunist who is willing to say and do anything in the relentless march towards power. And I agree with Tucker. This woman lies like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. And it really is the opposite of the truth. I know politicians lie, but what they tend to do is they tend to embellish. They tend to fib. It's more, it's a half truth. Well, it's not really true, but there's some grain of truth to it. This woman lies to your face and lies without blinking an eye. And that's now what Trump is up against. And she's got an army behind her. And she's got the deep state behind her. She's got the entire Democrat apparatus behind her. And the most important thing, she has the entire media industrial complex behind her. And I'm with Mike. That's her biggest weapon. So if I'm Trump, don't underestimate her. Don't be overconfident. Don't think that you got this thing in the bag, because the last thing you do is have this election in the bag. This is now going to be a war for the next 70 days. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. Amanda in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Amanda, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Amanda?
I'm doing good, but I'm so embarrassed to even say this. And, honey, Anthony, I know you're listening. Please still marry me after I say this. Jeff, I'm so glad you said that it felt like watching an infomercial. I am naive, and I am a super sucker for infomercials. I want that knife set. I need the golden hits of the 50s. I want it all. And I caught myself last night kind of buying into some of this, and I had to stop myself and keep reminding myself, like, you're listening to Kamala Harris. You know she's an idiot. You know she's dumb. But I'll tell you, Jeff, she's good. And if that really is what Tucker said, I agree, like you say, 1,000%. And I think, this had Obama written all over it, but I think what they are doing with her is the same thing that they wanted to do with Joe Biden, except he was too far gone. And when you have dementia, you can't memorize your lines. Well, Kamala might be dumb, but she can memorize her lines. And that's what she did last night. And she sucked me in for a lot of it until she brought up Project 2025. And then I kind of snapped you out. They're like, no, like, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. But I was so sucked into it that it didn't even dawn on me that she didn't bring up inflation not once. She didn't bring up any issues. But I was so sucked in that I didn't even notice. And I listen to your show every day. I'm a very well-informed voter. But to the typical mid-30s suburban women, I can see them getting sucked in. And then they're going to turn on Good Morning America this morning, and it's going to be, the second coming right there in Kamala. I don't know what Trump's team is going to do, but I do think they're going to have to really step up their game after last night. And I can't believe I'm saying this.
No, I agree. You're completely right. I mean, look, I'm sorry, but truth is truth is truth. And either you confront the truth or you bury your head in the sand. And then November 5 comes around and we're done. We're cooked. Our goose is cooked. So you're completely right, Amanda. Look, I've been telling this now for a while to the Trump team. You are underestimating Kamala Harris, or to be more accurate, the machine behind Kamala Harris. And I think really you nailed it. What they did with her is what they wanted to do with Biden the whole time. But he was just the dementia was just too progressed. His mental decline, they wasn't able to do it. This one, for all her flaws, and she's got many, obviously, she can read her lines and she can take instruction. And that's all you need. She's a puppet of the entire system. And that's why the system loves her. And that's why they're trying to sell her to the American public. And you're right, Amanda. It really was lie after lie. And notice they did something that the communists always did. Always. And I said this to Grace last night. I said, I remember when I used to visit, the old, behind the Iron Curtain. If you pointed out the bread lines, the low quality of the cars, the poverty, the misery, if you pointed all that out, they would say you're a traitor. Why you hate us so much? Why you hate our country so much? In other words, if you criticize the state of things, then you're a traitor and you're not patriotic. In her speech last night, there's literally a moment where she says, Trump and the Republicans, all they do is focus on the negative. They're not patriots. They're unpatriotic. So, you see, don't pay attention to the inflation. Don't pay attention to how much you're paying at the grocery store or at the gas pump or in your rent or your mortgage or your energy or utility bills, or how much everything. That eggs, for example, have gone up 147% under the Biden-Harris regime. Don't notice that. No, and if you complain about it, you're a traitor. You're being unpatriotic. And you're completely right, Amanda. You would think there's no problem with inflation. There's no problem with the economy. There's no problem with crime. There's no problem with the border. There's no problem with the illegals flooding our country. There's no problem. There's just what's the problem? Everything's fine. And now we're just going to make it even better. And it was a sales job. And it was the mother of all sales jobs. And Trump better step up his game, because if he doesn't step up his game, he's going to lose. Amanda, thank you very, very much for that call. 617-266-6868. You see, look, I'll sum it up for you the way I did a hit on Irish radio. And I said, this is the dynamic of the race now. What the Democrats have now done over the last 4 nights is they have defined Kamala Harris and they have defined Donald Trump. And they have defined Kamala, incredibly, amazingly, as this moderate centrist, this so-called prosecutor who's a law and order, tough on crime, a border hawk, in other words, the way they sold Joe Biden, he's Scranton Joe, middle of the road, moderate Scranton Joe. Well, now it's middle class Kamala. I don't know if you saw the video they set up with her family and her mother, and we came from a middle working class family, and we're all about the middle class. I am the middle class. Yeah, living in Westmount. in Montreal, Canada, the wealthiest suburb in the entire country. She came from an immensely privileged background. Well, what middle class? What are you talking about? Your mother had a doctorate. Your mother was a breast cancer research scientist and professor. Your mother made boatloads of money. I don't begrudge her. I'm just telling you the truth. This is a woman of privilege. Always has been a woman of privilege. Who, by the way, through affirmative action, and she slept her way, I'm sorry, by sleeping around and through affirmative action, she just, she's never held a job in the private sector. Everything she's done has been, sucking on the public teat. That's all this woman has done, gorging at the public trough. And she has been single-minded and ruthless in the pursuit of power. But by the time they're done, the way they sold Scranton Joe, now it's middle-class Kamala. Moderate, centrist, middle-class Kamala. And they've painted Trump and defined him as an absolute monster. I mean, a monster. You can see it now. You mention they hate him. That convention. If he showed up at that convention, I'm telling you, they would have torn him limb from limb. They would have lynched him. They would have strung him up on a tree and they would have hung him right on the spot. And that's their strategy. Hate Trump, Kamala moderate, and abortion, abortion, abortion. There you go. That's their strategy. Now, I'm not saying Trump is going to lose. I'm saying Trump has a fight on his hands. And if he doesn't start hitting back and taking up his game, he will lose. So, look, it's time to take the gloves off. And you got to go after him, and you got to go after him with everything that you have. He has to define this race as a referendum on the Harris-Biden regime. He has to define her for what she is. She's a radical anti-American leftist who has been in power for the last 3.5 years. She owns inflation. She owns high gas prices. She owns the border. She owns skyrocketing crime. She owns high interest rates. She owns the debacle in Afghanistan. She owns the war in Ukraine. She owns the mess in the Middle East. Nothing. You get no sense of that. That's what he has to define her. So far, she's defining him. And by the way, Trump is completely right, because he called into Fox News after her speech, and I thought he made some brilliant points. One of them was, did you notice she never mentioned fracking? She never mentioned energy? She never mentioned China? He was just running issue after issue. Didn't even touch it. Didn't even touch it. Price controls, the centerpiece of her economic plan. She didn't repeat that last night. So it was all smoke and mirrors. It was a show. A show. And the question now is, are the American people, the low information voters, dumb enough to buy it? That's the question. How much time left, Mike? Okay. So, very quick reset. I want to take all of your calls. 617-266-6868 is the number. Kamala Harris is now formally made the Democrat presidential candidate. She delivered her keynote speech last night. They used the lie that Beyonce and Taylor Swift, either one, was going to be performing. They didn't, and they never were, to artificially boost the number of people watching. So it looks like they had a lot of eyeballs. Did Kamala deliver a good or bad speech? Is she a threat now to Trump? 719 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Dave in Vermont. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, you know what I seen this past week? It was just if I could get past the gag reflex from watching it, but it seemed to me like it was the Democrat National Liars Club party. I mean, there was nothing of any content. There was no ideas, nothing that came out. And the reason for it, because if they did put that out, no one would vote for them. Their ideas suck, period. But just one thing I didn't hear, I heard that she put out her bio and everything. Did she include prostitution on that bio?
Well, she didn't mention Willie Brown. She didn't mention her rise in California politics. And, the amazing thing, Dave, is this has been so well documented. I mean, the San Francisco Chronicle, like all the local papers. It was this was, I'm talking like 20 years ago. This was a huge scandal. Just how promiscuous this woman was. And, she slept with married men. Just married men. And, Willie Brown is like, oh, yeah, she slept with me. And whoever she needed to get an advantage in politics, she would sleep with that person. And unashamedly. It's just incredible. And there she is yesterday with the second husband, Doug, and then their kids and like this all-American happy family. And Dave, I don't know if you heard about him, but he was had a previous marriage, and the children are from that previous marriage. And it's been widely reported that he had the affair when he was married to his first wife with the nanny. And the nanny was also one of their teachers of the kids at this elite private school. And not only was he having an affair with the nanny, who was the teacher of his kids at this private school he sent them to, but apparently he got her pregnant. He knocked her up. I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. So, but they're going on about J.D. Vance's trash. That J.D. Vance, really, they're making fun of J.D. Vance. Or they're making fun of Trump. And they're going on about, his sexual picadillos. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? People in glass houses shouldn't be casting stones. Dave, am I wrong?
She's pointing her fingers out, but she's got 4 of them pointing right back at her.
It's the Democrat way, Dave. 617. Yeah, no, you're dead on. Dave, thank you very much for that call. It's unbelievable. It's mind-blowing. And it's like, and the media just glosses over it. And that's the point Mike was making to me earlier. He goes, Jeff, the media just glosses over everything. Her past, her record, her character, her lies, her statements. It's like she just never says them. The woman wants to impose Soviet-style price controls. Like, you understand? You don't put price controls ever on anything. But I'll be honest, I don't know. You impose price controls on baseball cards. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Okay, you can have a shortage of baseball cards. Okay, fine, it's not the end of the world. Bubble gum, it's not the end of the world. Whatever, I can just, fine. I mean, I'm against it. I think it's horrible policy. It's destructive. But I'm saying is, okay, you're not going to die. You impose price controls on food production and grocery stores, you are insane. You are so reckless. You are so dangerous. You are so irresponsible. There's something wrong with you. You're not right in the head. Now, she got that from her Marxist father, who, by the way, published a book on the glories of price controls, who advised the Jamaican government in the 1970s to impose price controls. And what do you think happened? It was a disaster. People went hungry in Jamaica, as they do now in Venezuela, as they did in Cuba, as they did in the Soviet Union, as they did in China, as they did in the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago. They were the first to try it 2,000 years ago. And nothing. Nothing. Magnificent speech. She's on her way. She's a political, Brett, she's a political superstar. This is Fox News. Never mind what was coming out of the mouths of CNN and MSNBC. No, really, honestly, I thought they were going to build a shrine to her. They have turned her into the second coming of Jesus. The fawning, the euphoria, what she does with words, her message, how she's electrified the convention center. No, she's electrified the country. It's, as CNN and MSNBC kept saying, it's Kamala mania. So now they want us to believe that the country is like a grassroots prairie fire. That everywhere you go, people are just gaga for Kamala. That she's just so inspiring, so brilliant, so all-knowing, so all-seeing, so charismatic, so stylish politically, so hip and cool. Such a fresh face. That this is something we haven't seen, maybe Obama, maybe John F. Kennedy, all of them combined. I mean, it's relentless indoctrination now and brainwashing. And then just look at the speech. You're like, well, where's the beef? Remember that old Wendy's commercial? But where's the beef? Where's the substance? There is none. She's make-believe. She's fantasy. 7:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is an absolutely brilliant, and I mean brilliant, message I got on Messenger from Robert. Please, whatever you're all doing, stop. I'd love for you to listen to this, because I think he's really put his finger on something very important and very profound. And again, it's from Robert on Messenger. And Robert, thank you for sending this. Jeff, you sound like I feel demoralized. If you or another caller call Kamala Harris, quote unquote, dumb again, I'm going to give up. She will laugh all the way to the White House. It's not even about Trump anymore. Despite your courageous efforts, we are losing. The communist takeover of the West will be complete. It began a long time ago in our education system. Conservatives have allowed the left to control the narrative. More than that, we have been manipulated by the media. We continue to fight each other while they coalesce, understanding it is all about power. Bing freaking go. Bingo. Absolutely. Bingo. Look, if I feel demoralized, I'm sorry, because I don't feel demoralized. I feel it's like time to get going. I feel a sense of urgency. But in my heart of hearts, I'll be brutally honest with you, like I'm in the confessional. Look, this is Trump's election to lose. I truly believe he was saved by God in that assassination attempt. He should be by all rights dead. He's not. I believe there is the hand of God. And things are being exposed and revealed that I never thought would ever be exposed and revealed. But what you are sensing from me is, look, this machine behind Kamala is formidable. This propaganda media, and that's what it is, it's propaganda, is formidable. And they put on one hell of a show. Now, you and I saw through it. I understand that. But, I think Mike is right. To the low information voter or the uninformed person who's just tuning in, this was it was a slick Hollywood production. And, they bamboozled us before. They'll try to bamboozle us again. Now, what I can just tell you is this. After my interview with Jay Valentine yesterday, which I got a tremendous amount of feedback from all of you, about how the Democrats exactly are going to try to steal the election. And now we know exactly how they're going to do it and in what states they're targeting. I got that information out to Trump's team and his inner circle ASAP. And I can tell you this with absolute certainty. Some very powerful heavy hitters now are clearly aware of the problem. They're aware of this network. They're aware of this particular strategy of using phantom voters and phantom votes. And as Jay Valentine, I thought, brilliantly exposed, we're talking about registering illegal aliens at convenience stores, at restaurants, at Walmarts, at, Sam's Club, gas stations, places where nobody lives. And then they collect all these ballots, these NGOs paid for by Mark Zuckerberg or George Soros. And that's how they just start trying to steal elections, using phantom voters and phantom votes, all through mail-in balloting. Now, if you notice, last night, Kamala Harris went out of her way to say, when I become president, two things are going to happen. They're going to pass the John Lewis Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. Those two bills codify universal mail-in balloting across the entire country and get rid of all voter ID laws in many of those states. So it'll get rid of voter ID permanently, and it'll establish mail-in balloting across the entire country permanently. That's not by accident, because that's how they're planning to steal the 2024 election. Now, why am I energized by this? Because now we know what they're doing. They were planning to steal it. Now we know exactly how they're going to steal it. Then they've succeeded in blocking this technique in Wisconsin, in blocking this in Colorado, and now we're going to put everything we have to block it in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. So either you bury your head in the sand and pretend that reality is not there, and then it's too late on November 5th and you've lost your country. Or you realize there's a burglar, a thief in the house, and he poses a potential danger, and let's neutralize that danger before it's too late. So I got all this information out to Trump and to his people, and I'm telling you, they are now not just aware of it, they understand the significance and scale of the problem, and they're going to do everything in their power to address it, prevent it, and cut it off at the pass. So what you're sensing from me is, look, this is not Joe Biden, the candidate, anymore. I remember the RNC, what was it, 4 weeks ago? Biden was on the ropes. Everybody realized we were heading towards a landslide. And then they pulled this switcheroo on us with Kamala Harris. It's a different campaign. It's a different race. And the Democrats now are going to do everything they can, just as they installed her in their coup against Biden. They're going to try to install her as president. We've got a dogfight on our hands. I'm not saying we're going to lose. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. That's what I'm banging the pulpit. That's what I'm banging my desk all the time. I'm banging the table saying, expose this fraud. Expose this radical anti-American leftist. Expose Kamala for who and what she is. Forget Joe Biden. He's yesterday's man. Who cares? Now it's all Kamala all the time. Beat her like a drum. Expose and unmask her. If the American people see the real her and not this phony fraud, this grifter that we saw last night, this snake oil saleswoman, Trump's going to win. Who the hell votes themselves into communism? Why would you do that? You're going to vote for price controls? You're going to vote for amnesty for illegals? You're going to vote for free health care and free college tuition for illegals? Here. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Gavin Newsom. And remember, she's California. She's tied to the, they call the California political mafia. Okay, so she's tied to Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi. Remember, Pelosi was the one that gave Biden the call and said, Joe, we can do this the hard way or the easy way. In California, as I speak to you now, look it up. Please do not take my word for it. Illegal aliens are now allowed to purchase a home. 0% interest, no interest, no down payment, not even a buck, not even a penny. 0 down, 0 interest to illegals. You think Americans get 0 down and 0 interest? Blank you. But if you're an illegal, 0 down payment, 0 interest. Why? Because the illegals are the linchpin of their entire election corruption and voter fraud system. And that's what Kamala Harris now says she will entrench permanently should she win in November. Now, if the American people find out about all of this, there's going to be hell to pay. That's why we have to expose her. That's why we got to fight her. That's why we've got to go on the offense. That's why I'm urging President Trump, get rid of Chris LaCivita, get rid of Susie Wiles, these two loser co-campaign managers, get a new team, and take the fight to her. Pedal to the metal, balls to the walls. Let's go. We got an election to win. 7:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up last night. The mother load. 617-266-6868. Denise in Beverly. Thanks for holding, Denise, and welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Denise?
I'm doing good. There's something, after I tell you this, there's something very important I need to tell you. First of all, about Harris. I was up all night watching her. I had lived her on my phone so everybody could watch. Everybody's watching. I must have jumped up 100 times, calling her a liar, calling her this. She's a great. It's a great chapter, Jeff. But the speech was an old book, and I think that when Trump debates her on the 10th, he's going to eat her up, and it's going to end that whole speech that she did last night. I really believe that. I really do. And she didn't talk about anything important, anything that like Laken Riley, Rachel Morin. She talked about the crimes, the inflation. Really, she didn't talk about anything that was important at all. If I was there, I would have popped every balloon she had out there. And I'm going to tell you something. I almost had a heart attack last night. I was so upset. Everything she said, I was so upset. I could not believe it. But, Jeff, I need to tell you something. Motel, are you there still?
Yeah, I'm listening to every word, Denise.
All right, listen, a motel in the Boston area. I can't say who it was. I just can't. But it's very high up. And they were government officials at that hotel showing the illegals how to vote and who to vote for. And I got a picture of it, and of them talking to the person, one of the persons, and one of the illegals. And I sent it to James. I called James Kuhner's office because he's Judiciary Committee. And she said it was a good place to start. And I emailed it to her. And I called, of course, I've been fighting for voter ID with Joan Lovely and Walsh's office because they're the legislators of Massachusetts. I've been every single day I call them about voter ID and why they don't do it. I emailed it to them. I emailed it to, who else did I email it to? Oh, the Republican Party. They're cheating already, Jeff.
Oh, there's no question. Oh, you're completely right. No, Denise, there's no question. Look, they have found massive voter fraud in Alabama. That's been well documented. The local media exposed it. They have now found massive fraud in Michigan. How many illegals now they're registering in Michigan and in New Jersey? And that's now being exposed. For example, apparently now in Michigan, there are now more people registered to vote than there are actual voters. I mean, that's how blatant the fraud is now becoming. So there's no question. The only way, look, you've got Commie Kamala and Tiananmen Tim. You've got two Marxist communists at the top of the ticket. One openly a champion of China, that's Tim Walz, openly. and the other one is pushing price controls. Okay, which literally was a Soviet policy. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say. So, there's no way they're going to win in a free and fair election. There's no way. Now, Kamala gave the game away last night. She said, you're going to get amnesty. I win, you're getting amnesty. And that was the big wink, wink to all the illegals out there. Now you got to register. We'll vote for you, but you got to register. Once we get all of you registered, then don't worry. Our people will check those ballots off for you. And then we'll drop them off in boxes or mail them in or, whatever they do. But my point is, that's how they're planning to steal the election. Now, we know how they're going to do it. We've got to prevent them. And that's what Trump and his people are working on between you and me as we speak. So, to me, one of the big issues, in fact, maybe the only issue from now until November 5th is exposing voter fraud. Keep exposing voter fraud. Because with these two, that's the only way they can win. Denise, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Tony in the great state of Florida. Thanks for holding, Tony, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff, my fellow patriot. How are you this morning?
Good. I'm tired. I was up very late last night, and like many of you, the way this woman lies, I thought Waltz was a pathological liar. He's got nothing on her. I mean, I got to tell you, she's up there with Obama and Biden when it comes to lying. She can lie with the best of them.
Agree. We were up watching it, and she's so disgusting. In the lies, I mean, you can go on and on. There's so much to unpack here, Jeff. Really what it comes down to is, the Democrats are turning themselves into something they are not, and they're constantly turning President Trump into something he is not, really. And, the common denominator during this convention here, this absolute fraud, you can talk about, they keep talking about the Project 25 and, which is a complete lie. He has no part of that. But the biggest thing, the common denominator that I took was they constantly say, all their speakers, they constantly say, President Trump is in it for himself. And nothing could be further from the truth. It makes me so disgusting. Honestly, it makes you want to vomit every time they say it, because I know it's not true. Let's take yesterday, for example, and he's barnstorming the country. He's doing what we wanted him to do, get out there into those swing states. So yesterday he was in Arizona, right at the field border of Kamala Harris, and he had the mother of Rachel Morin there with him, and the mother and the uncle of Jocelyn Ungary, who were tragically murdered and raped by an illegal alien. So he let them, get up there and talk, and after he gave them a hug and a kiss, and that it's just totally genuine with President Trump, Jeff. I mean, everything about him is genuine. He wants to be, he wants to be with the people, like, and part of everything that's going on, good and bad. He just wants to be here with the people, and it was just amazing to see him with the victims' families there. And it was a very dangerous situation yesterday because there was yet again another shooter out there on the loose, and they got him.
Sex offender.
Supposedly he has some.
No, you're right. He was a sex offender who was on the loose, and he said, "I'm going to kill Donald Trump." And he was going to shoot him. He was going to shoot him point blank, and this time finish what that, what that shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania, Thomas Crooks, wasn't able to do. He's going to finish what he started. And look, he's had already several attempts on his life since the assassination. He's very lucky to continue to be alive. He goes out there every day, barnstorming, campaigning, knowing there's a huge target on his back. His family fears he's going to be assassinated. His friends fear he's going to be assassinated. But, let's let that go for a second, okay? As I like to say, let it go. Let it go. This is a man who's lost billions of dollars, since he became president of the United States. Billions. The only person I've ever known who went into Washington and came out poorer than when he came in. They're about to bankrupt his business. And he's doing it for himself? I mean, come on, who are we kidding? If President Trump in 2020 said, you know what, I'm done. I gave them 4 years. I gave them the best I could. I turned much of the country around. They stole it from me. And after January 6th, I don't want any part of this anymore. He wouldn't have faced one indictment. They would have left him alone. So they're going to tell me that a man who's put his own freedom on the line, his own safety on the line, his very life on the line, that of his family, that of his entire financial empire, they're looking to bankrupt his entire business. They're looking to put him behind bars and throw away the key. And he's in it for himself? I mean, these people are sick. And I mean, and think about, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be insulting, but I have to say, how stupid and ignorant do you have to be to believe that? I mean, just a cursory knowledge of the news. Just basic common sense. Well, it's pretty obvious that, you know, if he just went away, none of this would be going on. So he's risking, I don't know, his freedom, and they almost shot him, and they want to put him in bars. They want to put him behind bars and in jail, and they're fining his company and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're trying to bankrupt him and ruin him and his children and everything he's built, and you know, and he's in it for himself. The only person on that stage that was in it for themselves is Kamala Harris. When has she ever done anything for anyone but herself? I'm sorry, but truth is truth is truth. She basically prostituted herself. I don't know what else you call sleeping with very powerful political men to rise in politics. That's what she did. That's what Willie Brown said she did. That's what all the other men she slept with said she did. So, this is a role model for our children. This is supposed to be a role model for young girls. That's what they keep saying all week. What a role model. What a role model. And this is someone who cares for all of us, who, when she was the border czar for the last 3.5 years, let in 15 million illegal aliens, rapists, murderers, drug cartels, gangbangers, literally child molesters, fentanyl, drugs. She's a sociopath. This woman doesn't give a damn for anyone but herself. And all she cares about, in fact, she's consumed by it, is power. Thank you very much for that call, Tony. Okay, 8 o'clock. You know what that means. Caller of the week, Kuhner's Call Log.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, sponsored by MyPillow.com, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Gino.
We got to stop with the silly nicknames and trying to name these guys something. We used to call the party out for what they are. They're communists. And I'll say that to my friends, and I'll say defend it. Tell me how they're not. Like, I don't give them little cute nicknames anymore. I'm just tired of trying to brand these people when they are straight up communists. And they come from communist parties. They come from communist parents, Marxist parents, and they want to ruin our country. And their examples are probably hundredfold. What they say and do are straight up out of the communist Marxist handbook. I'm just trying to change the lexicon and not even go with what all these little silly sideshows are. They're straight up communists, and they're trying to ruin our country and take my freedom and take my money. So there's really no reason to give them Tampon Tim or Goofball Kamala, anything. The biggest problem, Jeff, is the only way you hear about these acts are listening to these conservative talk shows, and there's just not enough of them on TV and the radio to let the message get out.
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log, sponsored by MyPillow.com.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. 8:03 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, that, of course, was Gino in New York. excellent call. It was a very good week in terms of callers. And let's just honestly, Kuhner Country, keep it up, because we've got an election to win. So we're going to do everything we can to get as many of you on the air. And, look, you can right now get an incredible deal at MyPillow. Discover MyPillow's $25 extravaganza. Get amazing deals on select items like 2-pack MyPillows, fashionable sandals, luxury towel sets, all for just $25 each. Also, snag a 4-pack dish towels, new premium MyPillows in Giza fabric at this incredible low price of $25. Order today at MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code WRKO or call 1-800-972-2316. That's 1-800-972-2316. Okay, let's go to Dan in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. This is Nurse Dan for Congress.
Hi.
Jeff, it's real simple. The DNC was a presentation of altered mental status, total delusion. If I were Trump, I would say to Kamala, impose your price controls now. I'm going to tell you why it's not going to work. If you looked at the largest shareholders of the 4 largest grocery stores and the 4 largest food producers, they're all owned by the same 3 companies, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And they are the donor base for the Democrat Party. It's not going to happen. I would simply brand Kamala Harris as Venezuela. If you want to look in an hourglass and see where this country will go, look no further than Venezuela. Venezuela in 20 years went from one of the wealthiest countries in the world to one of the poorest countries in the world. And that's your future. Your future is Venezuela. Forget the name calling. Forget all that other side stuff. Just focus in on what she said. Impose the price controls now. Let's see how it flies. Why wait till January, Jeff? Do it now. She's effectively running the White House. Do it now. Let's see how it's going to work. It's not even going to get off the ground, Jeff. It's all crap. We know it. But Trump has to call their bluff. She has to call it now. Secure the border. Don't wait till January. Do it now. Do it all now. And you know what?
I so agree. No, Dan, I so agree. Look, that's the, one of the many Achilles heels in her entire argument. Well, I'm going to lower inflation. How? Price controls. Okay, do it now. Well, we're going to build 3 million new homes. Okay, do it now. Well, okay, we're going to secure the border. Okay, do it now. Well, we're going to lower crime. Well, okay, do it now. Like, just issue after issue after issue after issue. Just say, okay, well, what are you waiting for? Do it now. She said yesterday, we're going to deliver peace in the Middle East. Do it now. Well, why do we have to wait till January? Do it now. You're the co-president. In fact, Biden, Dan, I know you're going to say, come on, Jeff, are you exaggerating for effect or whatever? He's been on vacation. He's in California now all week. And then he's on vacation next week in Rehoboth Beach. So I don't know who's running the country, but he's never there anymore. So you're right. She's effectively running the country or whatever, the figurehead. So they're co-presidents to begin with. That's what she said. That's what Biden said. So go ahead. Fix it now. Lower gas prices? Do it now. Lower food? Do it now. Lower groceries? Do it now. Just do it all now. What are you waiting for? But they won't, because as I pointed out, Dan, what she's offering and what she's going to give us is just more of the same. It's Bidenism. You can call it Bidenomics. You can call it Kamalanomics. It's the same left-wing garbage. It's the same open borders. It's the same Green New Deal. It's the same trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in massive spending, which is going to lead to even more inflation, which is going to, as you put it, drive us straight to Venezuela. All we're going to get is more of the same, except more of it. That's all you're going to get under Kamala. Think what we've had for the last 3.5 years. but even more radical and even more intense. Final word to you, Dan.
There's a difference between Biden's campaign and Kamala's. Biden in 2020 was heard but not seen. He hid out in his basement. Kamala's campaign is going to be the opposite. She's going to be seen but not heard. And that's the advantage that Trump has. He has to provoke her to speak, because when she speaks, she's her worst enemy. And so that's why I'm confident that if Trump stays on point, which is the economy stupid, Trump will win, and will win a fair share of Republican pickups across the country and across the Commonwealth.
Dan, thank you very, very much for that call. Now, look, I do have to say this, and I say this with the highest amount of respect for President Trump, and I've been hearing from a lot of you on this issue. Jeff, I've been looking at I've been watching a lot of Trump rallies lately. I've been listening to interviews, and he seems to be delivering the same talking points over and over and over again. Almost the same phraseology, the same language. He's got to mix it up. He's got to freshen it up. I agree. I mean, with everything Dan just said, I completely agree. Focus on the economy, focus on inflation, focus on the border, focus on what they've done for the last 3.5 years. Pin the last 3.5 years on her. She was the vice president. She was the co-president. She owns all of this. There's no fresh face here. What's fresh? She was the mess that we're in. It's because of her. She's given us the mess that we're in. Okay. But what he's got to do more is, to me, and this is, again, I blame his campaign team. That's why he's got to clean house. He's got to become more nimble. And what I mean by that is, hey, this was a gift from the political gods. She wants to impose Soviet-style price controls, which everywhere it's been tried leads to chronic food shortages and in many cases starvation or famine. It's going to completely disrupt our food supply. You don't mess with the food supply. He's got to hammer her. If anything, call her price control Kamala. In other words, hammer that policy over and over. Wrap it around her neck and tell the American people you're going to be waiting in bread lines. You vote for her, you're going to have nothing to eat. 8:19 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I'm just curious, Kuhner Country. I don't normally give out the poll question multiple times during the show. Everybody knows where to go if you're interested in the poll question. But I'm going to do it today. And the only reason why is this was Kamala's most important, biggest speech of her entire career. It capped an entire week at the Democratic National Convention. And to say she got some assistance from the media is an understatement. So you have the entire media gushing over her, gushing over her speech. Everybody saying it was one of the most incredible speeches they ever heard. I looked at this and I said it was full of platitudes. It was bland, no vision, no bold ideas, warmed over Bidenism, as I called it. That's all it really is. Most of it, or half of it, or whatever, a third of it was her biography, and it was lie after lie after lie. So I looked at that speech and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They're selling, they're not selling a political candidate. They're selling a product. And as I said earlier, it felt like a long infomercial. But many of you are saying, at least those that are emailing and texting the show, 70470, yeah, Jeff, it may be nonsense, but it was very effective nonsense. For the Bills in Sudbury, and the Bens in North Andover, and the Chris's in Gloucester, for the low information crowd, I mean, they yucked it up. They ate it up. They loved it. So, the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. Is Kamala a threat to Donald Trump? In other words, can she now win this election? I want to hear from you. A, yes. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn is in national ER. You can also vote via X. My handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn is in national ER. Ron in Taunton. Thanks for holding, Ron, and welcome.
Hello.
Ron, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. I mean, there's so many things I'd like to say, but the reality is Kamala Harris is not eligible to be president of the United States, and it doesn't matter what people think about that issue. It has already been settled by the Supreme Court, and I have all the evidence for that, and I'm actually having a affidavit in with Kamala Harris as we speak, so she can speak to that particular issue, which she's already acquiesced to in several notices. So that's up to her, but she's also illegal. According to the U.S. Code, she can't even be put on the ballot because of her ideology. She's pushing communist ideology, which is forbidden by law. So we have to make a decision as people. Are we willing to allow somebody who's violating the Constitution openly and notoriously, which is against the law, and who's an avowed communist, to take the seat of president, which is against the law?
Ron, if you don't mind me, and I appreciate the call very much, if you don't mind me flushing this out with you just a little bit more, and I understand your point about communist ideology, but your point about she's not eligible to be president, are you talking about the fact that she's not, in your view, a natural-born citizen, as is defined in the Constitution historically, because her parents were here legally, no question, but they were immigrants. In other words, they were not citizens when she was born. They came on student visas, both her mother and her father. In fact, Kamala even admitted that in her speech yesterday. You know, my mother came from India. She came on a student visa. My father came from Jamaica on a student visa. They met at university, and eventually the product was me and my sister. So is it the fact that they both were not citizens, they were here on a visa, and a natural-born citizen requires that at least one, if not both your parents, are citizens of the United States? Am I wrong on this, Ron?
No, that is absolutely correct. And they actually both have to be citizens of the United States. And this is very clear. The Founding Fathers, first of all, said that we had to have somebody who did not have any divided loyalties. And they did so in John Jay's letter to George Washington. This is very clear what they meant by natural-born citizen. They wanted somebody who had undivided loyalties to America. And the only way to get undivided loyalties to America is to have parents who reared you as American, who loved America themselves. So the only place that natural-born citizen at that particular time in history was actually defined was in the Law of Nations. The Law of Nations by Vattel was not only quoted repeatedly by the Founding Fathers, the Supreme Court at the time went to Vattel for definitions, and it also was enshrined in our Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, as a part of our Constitution.
Interesting.
So this is not even debatable, and so the Supreme Court themselves has gone to the definition of Vattel to describe natural-born citizen. There is no controversy. There is no doubt. She is not a natural-born citizen. She's not eligible, period, full stop. There is no other option. None.
Ron, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Joan in Boston. Thanks for holding, Joan, and welcome.
Hey, how you doing, Jeff?
Hi, Joan. How are you?
Oh, great. What an awesome show, as usual. But I am very concerned because no one can deny that Kamala Harris hit that speech out of the park last night. She nailed that. I've done professional communications training. I don't know who coached her, but like you said, the low information population are going to fall for this. It's all hope and dreams and vagary. It is Obama 2.0 silver-tongued lies at its absolute best. It's absolutely astonishing. And the thing is, you got to give her credit. She's showing you that she still knows how to use her mouth really well.
Oh, you see, Joan, I'm happy you said it and I didn't say it. Because if I said it, they'd say I'm being insensitive. Joan, thank you very much for that call. 8:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare, baby. Okay, it was a speech loaded with lies, misinformation, disinformation, misinformatio. Listen now to one of the mother of all lies, and that goes right to her biography. This is Harris. Roll cut 3, Mike.
At a young age, I decided I wanted to do that work. I wanted to be a lawyer. And when it came time to choose the type of law I would pursue, I reflected on a pivotal moment in my life. You see, when I was in high school, I started to notice something about my best friend Wanda. She was sad at school, and there were times she didn't want to go home. So one day I asked if everything was all right, and she confided in me that she was being sexually abused by her stepfather. And I immediately told her she had to come stay with us, and she did. This is one of the reasons I became a prosecutor, to protect people like Wanda, because I believe everyone has a right to safety, to dignity, and to justice.
You is not true. She never said, Mommy, I'm going to become a prosecutor to help people like Wanda. That is a bald-faced lie. And if you believe that, I'm telling you, I got a bridge in Brooklyn you may be interested in. Okay? I mean, ay. No. I'll tell you why she decided to become a prosecutor. Because she realized it was the quickest, best way for her to get into politics and to enter power. That's why she wanted to become a woman with power, a woman with political aspirations, and she realized in California, the ticket, district attorney. And then from district attorney, you go to attorney general. And then from attorney general, the sky's the limit. That's why she decided to become a prosecutor. Who are we kidding? It was to help Wanda. Yeah, right. Tell me. So if you really care about children abused by pedophiles, or in this case, a stepfather, how come you've done nothing about child trafficking for the last 3.5 years? One of the greatest consequences of the Harris-Biden border, open border policy, has been the hundreds and hundreds of children trafficked into this country, many of them sold into sexual slavery. She hasn't lifted a finger. She doesn't give a damn. I'm this tough as nails prosecutor. No, you're not. You realized the ticket to power is through the law. And that's why you became a prosecutor. You phony, you fraud, you. I mean, anybody can see through that. But that was just the beginning. Now, listen to the lies about Trump. Because what this shows to me, and this is why I think Tucker Carlson's point on this is absolutely brilliant. It's not just that she lies. It's not just that she says untruths. It's that she says the exact opposite of the truth. And that reveals a very diabolical and evil nature. So, this is her mocking Trump. She's going on about how he's an unserious man, but he can have very serious consequences should he win in November. And she goes on about the chaos when he was in power. Oh, my God, the Trump years. Oh, how did you survive $2 a gallon gas? How did you survive 1.4% inflation? The greatest economic boom in 60 years. Rising wages. A safe border. No wars. How did we do it? I don't know how we did. How did we do it? I don't know how we did it. I don't know. The middle working class, for the first time, seeing their wages go up in 40 years. Women, record low unemployment. Blacks, record low unemployment. Latinos, record low unemployment. Guys, how did we do it? How did we do it? I don't know how we did it. But she says it all comes back, to January 6th. Roll cut 4A, Mike.
Donald Trump tried to throw away your votes. When he failed, he sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol where they assaulted law enforcement officers. When politicians in his own party begged him to call off the mob and send help, he did the opposite. He fanned the flames. And now, for an entirely different set of crimes, he was found guilty of fraud by a jury of everyday Americans and separately found liable for committing sexual abuse.
Now, when did Donald Trump, I mean, where to start? Okay? You want to talk about demagoguery. You want to talk about a pack of lies. Pure mendacity, lying right to the faces of the American people. Okay, spitting in our faces with disrespect. When did Trump order the mob to descend on the Capitol? When? Can somebody show this to me? When? When did he say, go storm the Capitol? Go. And by the way, again, for the 50th time, this, armed mob, what were they armed with? A flagpole and a cattle prod? Not one of them had a knife. Not one of them had a gun. The only people with guns were the Capitol Hill police officers who shot Ashley Babbitt in the neck at point blank range. What are we talking about? But she's saying something even more. What she's saying is, even after they breached the Capitol, he was egging them on. He was saying, storm it, don't stop. Where the hell did he ever say that? That is a blatant lie. It's a disgusting, vile lie. In fact, remember that town hall with Caitlin Collins at CNN? He goes, well, okay, you guys censored it, but here's what I said on Twitter. Stop. Go back home. Don't attack law enforcement. Those are our friends. This is not the way to do this. End this now. No. According to her, he unleashed them. And even after they breached the Capitol, he kept saying, go, take it, seize it. Bull, and you know what I really want to say. Bull crap. Pure, 100% unadulterated bull crap. But it gets even worse. It gets even worse. Now we're getting into Joe Biden territory. Listen to this lie. This is her acceptance speech? This is what the entire media, including Fox News, is gushing over? This is one of your most powerful, historic, aspirational speeches of all time? Okay, listen to this. Roll cut 4B, Mike.
Consider what he intends to do if we give him power again. Consider his explicit intent to set free violent extremists who assaulted those law enforcement officers at the Capitol. His explicit intent to jail journalists, political opponents, and anyone he sees as the enemy. His explicit intent to deploy our active duty military against our own citizens.
Blank off. I'm sorry. Sometimes that's the only answer. Blank off. Get lost. Look, my friends, this is sickening. No, really, this is sickening. So tell me, where did he ever say, show me once, where did he ever say, we're going to start jailing journalists. It's time to start rounding them up, putting them in jail. We got to start imprisoning journalists. Where the hell did he ever say that? Where did he ever say he was going to put his political opponents behind bars? That's what you're doing. You and Biden, you're the ones that want to put him in jail. And he's going to unleash the army on American citizens? You mean what? Call in the National Guard when there's a riot? They're trying to paint him as the second coming of Adolf Hitler. It is beyond disgusting. 850 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text us 70470, 70470. This is from 802. Jeff, Kamala needs to be sued for defamation. This isn't politics. This is defamation and slander. She can't prove one of those charges against Trump. Bingo. That's what I mean. I was jumping out of my seat. And I'm like, and the pathetic media, the media industrial complex, aren't you supposed to be fact checkers? Aren't you supposed to be their words, the guardians of democracy, the fifth estate? One more, and I want to go right back to the phone lines. And it's a beauty, absolute beauty. This is from 603. Jeff, if anything underscores Comrade Kamala's lust for power, it's her insistence that each morning she entered her attorney general's office in California. She demanded that her staff stand up and greet her with quote unquote, good morning, General. This has been confirmed by multiple former employees, and like Mrs. Clinton, the standing order was no eye contact with the quote-unquote general. Comrade Kamala's turnover in staff in every position that she supervised is over 90%. Actually, it's 92%. Same thing, by the way, as vice president. Nobody can stand working for this monster, okay, for this witch. What does that tell you? It tells you everything you need to know. She's a power-hungry, narcissistic megalomaniac. All right, let me just play one more cut. This is her on Trump. And, of course, the zombies, the lemmings in that convention center, they were lapping it up. Oh, I mean, it was better than drugs. No, I'm serious. They were euphoric, laughing, crying, screaming. Roll cut 4D, Mike.
What a second Trump term would look like. It's all laid out in Project 2025, written by his closest advisors, and its sum total is to pull our country back to the past. But America, we are not going back. And we are charting a new way forward.
Yeah, towards communism. That's Viva la Revolucion. Now, they kept mentioning the whole 4 days. Dozens of times. Project 2025. Project 2025. So, and she lied again. This is all laid out in Project 2025. He's going to take away our voting rights. He's going to reimpose segregation and Jim Crow. I mean, the horse crap. How do you get away with this? And Trump is like, literally, I go, for the 100th time, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. It was put together by the Heritage Foundation. It is a conservative think tank in Washington, D.C. That's it. And then I so disagreed with many aspects of Project 2025. I complained to Heritage. They fired the guy who wrote essentially the manual, the 2025. It's about a 900-page manual. So not only does he have nothing to do with it, not only has he repeatedly disavowed it, he was instrumental in getting the guy who basically wrote it to get fired. And instead, they're going on, this is all in Project. By the way, Project 2025 doesn't say take away people's right to vote. It doesn't say ban in vitro fertilization. It doesn't say, backroom abortions, go baby. Back alley abortions, go baby. It doesn't say any of that. And Trump is the one pushing misinformation and disinformation. They're going on about how everybody's got to be banned on social media and censored because of disinformatio, misinformatio, false information, lies. It's a threat to our democracy. This whole speech, by their standards, was a threat to democracy. This wasn't one long infomercial. It was one long disinfomercial. 617-266-6868. And as one of the texters put it, Trump should sue for defamation. Pure slander, pure libel, pure defamation. Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Dan?
Not bad. Jeff, I'm going to tell you, and I've never said this before, but I had a feeling that evil has come to town. It showed up in the house of the convention. I mean, when you really listen to what the hell's going on, complete denial of the truth. The truth is a lie. The lie is a truth. The fact that everybody suffered for the last 3.5, 4 years, it's like it's never happened. The way that they villainized and demonized Trump to make him the Antichrist, when I think that there is an Antichrist floating around. I'm afraid to say it. I'm not a religious Bible thumper, but I'm telling you right now, when you've got the amount of deceit and manipulation and deception to the level that I've watched last night, that it sent shivers down my spine and the hair up on the back of my neck, I feel that there's an evilness that we're not aware of, and that there is a powers to be that want to manipulate and control our lives, and that there's absolutely nothing that they're willing to do to stop any of that. They just want to basically have complete control over our lives, complete control over the money and the power, and the hell with us. The fact that half that, I mean, when you really think about it, look at the people's faces in there. They were asked, what are any of the benefits that she's done? They couldn't come up with anything. What are her projections on trying to solve, the solutions of the problems that we have? Nobody had any content there whatsoever. They just want to vote for her blindly. And then, fortunately, I feel when you have such blind followers that they can be easily led in an evil way.
Well, Dan, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, that was exactly my sense when I was watching it last night. It made the hair crawl on the back of my neck. And I'm like, there's real evil in that convention center. They always use Hitler. Look at Nuremberg when Hitler delivered that infamous rally. And I'm like, that's this convention center. If she came out and said, I want you to go out now and murder Trump supporters, they would have been cheering and they would have rushed onto the streets. And the first guy with a MAGA hat or the first woman with a bumper sticker on her car or whatever, and they would proceed to start slaughtering them. I'm just being honest. The crying, the wailing, the hollering, the hanging on her every word with the emotion on their face. So she's a god. And they're just, every word. And they're just mindlessly just nodding whatever she says, no matter how blatantly false. how blatantly inaccurate. And what's incredible, and this is, I agree with Tucker completely, this is what's truly pure evil. Trump wants to restore freedom of speech. That's a big aspect, big plank of his platform. There's stop the censorship on social media. Stop the cancel culture. Stop people being banned and shadow banned. Stop it. Stop having journalists be exiled and censored, as Biden did, for example, during COVID-19, where we find out now through all these emails, the White House was literally ordering Twitter and all these other social media platforms, take that person down, take their post down. Not because it wasn't true, because it embarrassed the regime. And so Trump is saying, no, we have to restore freedom of speech. We have to restore the Bill of Rights. We have to restore the Constitution. And they're going on about, he's going to send the army into the streets. He's going to jail journalists. He's going to round up his political opponents. He's going to start throwing people into concentration camps. You who are jailing him, you who've put political prisoners in jail, the J6ers, many of them, I'm telling you, elderly women. Sandy and I were just talking about this before the show. How many of them, they were just walking around the Capitol, taking selfies with these Capitol Hill police officers, invited in, given 12, 15, 18, 20-year jail sentences, prison sentences. I'm not talking about those that engage in any kind of violence or an assault. I'm literally talking about, Granny, like, oh, wow, oh, okay, they called me in. Oh, look at this. Hi, sir, would you take a picture with me? And then they leave after 5 minutes. 12 years in the slammer. And Trump is like, this is outrageous. These are gulags. You're jailing them because of their political views. That's why you're putting them in prison for so long. It's so obvious. They spied on Catholic churches. They spied and branded as terrorists parents who simply went to school boards to complain about gay pornography being peddled to 3rd and 4th graders, and anti-white racism, i.e. critical race theory, and DEI. And they're like, this has no place in school. This is, and they're reading what the material is. And the school boards are like, this is disgusting. We don't want to hear it anymore. Well, they're like, if it's inappropriate for you and you're all adults, what do you think it is to a 3rd or 4th or a 5th grader? And these idiots are going on, he's a book banner. He's a book banner. Honestly, Dan, I'm telling you, if there's a majority of them, I don't believe there is. I really don't. But if there's a majority of these low information, in other words, Bills in Sudbury, if there's a majority of these low information zombies, we are screwed. You don't come back from this. And let me tell you what I told Grace last night, okay? Let me bare my soul to all of you. The communist dictator of what was then Yugoslavia, okay? Today it's Croatia, Serbia. They all broke off and have their own independent countries. Bosnia, Slovenia, whatever, where Melania's from. But he was the strong man. He was basically the Stalin of that country. So, and his name was Tito. That's the only reason I'm explaining this. Tito, Tito. I'll never forget as a young boy. This was in the 1970s. And my parents would take me back once in a while behind the Iron Curtain to see family, to meet, for me to see my uncles and my aunts, but also to show me why they fled, why they left. I will never forget, on the streets, we were walking in the capital of Croatia, Zagreb, and there was a political rally outdoor, a communist political rally, because they were running the whole country. And there were thousands of them. And there they were, exactly like at that convention center last night. And there's these idiots speaking about the glories of communism and the glories of the glories of communist control and the glories of Tito. And They're crying with that emotion. Their red, their face is red, and they're looking up at them and they're chanting, Tito, Tito, Tito. And I remember as a young boy looking around, and I'm like, what is wrong with you people? You don't have anything to eat? There's nothing in the stores. There's nothing in the grocery stores. Look at the cars you drive. Hell, you still have horse and buggy. Forgive me. The horses are crapping on the streets. Like, what is wrong with you people? You're living in misery. And anybody who speaks out against the regime is thrown in a gulag. And you're going on about free. They kept going on about, well, no. The party is democracy. The party is freedom. So, as long as you support the Communist Party, well, the Communist Party speaks for the aspirations of the people. You see, and that was Kamala Harris last night. She champions the people. Just like the old communists would say it. And you don't need opposition parties. Why? Well, it's like I can't tell you how many times I've heard this here in Massachusetts. The Democrat, well, they're the people. The Democratic Party, they're the people. They represent everybody. We don't need an opposition. Why do we need an opposition? The party is the people. That's what she was peddling last night. And you're cheering for this? From the very same woman. A lot of those people look to me middle working class in that crowd. I know there's a lot of celebrities and there was glitz and glamour, no question. But the rank and file, those idiots with the Kamala signs. I'm like, so you like paying $4 a gallon gas? Yeah, you like that? You like paying double for food? You like that? What, you like having no money? You like spending thousands and thousands more on energy and utility bills and seeing rent and housing costs be out of control? You like it that your country's overrun by illegals? And that homeless veterans are sleeping on the streets because all the shelters have been taken up by these illegals? And poor Americans can't get housing anymore? And homeless Americans can't get housing? And you all love this? I'm telling you, I'm like, oh my God. It's like I'm back in a time machine. I went in a time machine and I went back 40 plus years. And I'm back in the old communist Yugoslavia. Except they're not chanting Tito, they're chanting Kamala. That's it. Same snake oil. And I remember thinking, how could they be so brainwashed? How could they be so stupid? And I remember I had a raging debate with my cousin, because of course he was a red diaper baby. Oh my God, he was indoctrinated in school since he was 4 years old. And he's going on about the glories of communism. And I just kept showing him pictures. My dad was very middle class. We had a secondhand Ford station wagon. And I said, look at the Ford station wagon. Look how much better it is than all the jalopies you guys drive here. Look at my dad's duplex. You live here, you're considered a king if you live in a house that big. Like, this is the evils of capitalism? Like, are you normal? And I showed pictures of us. We had picnics in our backyard. And I go, look at all the food that we have for our guests. Here, you guys, you can't get a can of ham in the grocery store, man. And you're telling me this is liberation? This is freedom? This is democracy? This is your workers' paradise? And I remember thinking, no way could this happen in North America. No way. I remember I was convinced as a young boy. I go, hey, I'm free. He's not. I'm prosperous. He's not. But this will never, ever, ever happen in the United States and Canada. Never. Just never. It just won't happen. Nope. Here we are, baby. Here we are. And it's so, okay. You like the last 3.5 years? Okay. I don't know what else to tell you, man. You like poverty? Go ahead. And this time they're going to finish us off. And look, and I can't get my mind off this one point. They're talking price controls, not talking, they're promising, pledging price controls on grocery stores and food production. That's like saying, we're going to inject everybody with nuclear radiation. Here's our vow to you, okay? You know what? Everybody's gonna get nuked. Yeah! Yeah! The one thing you don't do is you don't put price controls on anything, okay? But you don't on food. To me, without food, we're dead. We're dead. It's over. What are we talking about? Food, water, and air. That's it. We're dead. And you're going to mess around with that? With the history of price controls? In country after country after country after country. In fact, we have part of the reason why we have so many migrants, so-called migrants, pouring in across our southern border. It's because of the famine in Venezuela. Caused by price controls. One of the most prosperous country in Latin America. And they ran it into the ground. They're hungry in Venezuela. And she's just, yeah, that's the centerpiece of my campaign. And these idiots, rah, rah. Dan, I'm telling you, man, if there are more of them than there are of us, we're screwed. I'm sorry, we're doomed. Now, I think there are more of us than there are of them. But, God, we got to start fighting. I'm sorry. We got to get the message out. We've got to tell people what price controls lead to. We've got to educate the American public who this woman really is. What we saw last night was maybe the greatest hoax and fraud ever perpetrated upon the American people. More than Obama, more than Joe Biden, more than Russia collusion, more than the Hunter Biden laptop. They took a San Francisco communist and suddenly now they've transformed her into a middle-class mom who's a moderate and a centrist, and it's all about hope and joy, man. It's all about we the people together. Together, we're all going to lift America up together. It's a commercial. The country's a commercial. 920 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you can text us 70470. This is from 617. And I think 617 really on this one nails it. Jeff, when you know that the mainstream media will not question anything you say, you are given the ability to say whatever you want. Ergo, Kamala's vile speech. Yeah, bingo. That's exactly what it is. If you're not going to be fact-checked, if you're not going to be called out on it, if the media is not even going to point it out, all the lies and all the misinformation and disinformation, then you can say whatever you want. Because you figure, well, I'm bulletproof. Who's going to hold me accountable? And I think that's why her speech was so vile and so disingenuous. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Annie on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Annie, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Good morning, and good morning to Kuhner Country. I've been sitting here, and I will tell you honestly, I did not watch the convention because my stomach could not handle it. The only thing that was missing from that convention was their horns right out there in the public that they all wear. That's what was missing. And number two, Kamala Harris, I mean, maybe I better not go down that road, but anyway, we know how she got where she is. Okay, she's a lion, connival, evil, you know what. She has, how many months do we have to the election now? Maybe 3?
2 months. No, it's 2 months now. Just over 2 months. Just over 2 months.
So just over 2 months, she can put her mouth to work better than going on a stage. Why doesn't she get out there, go to the border? Why doesn't she talk to the people down there? Jeff, nobody is being held accountable for anything. Nothing. The Constitution doesn't matter anymore. Ron was right when he talked about her being able to run for president of this country. Gee, Jeff, you can run. Why don't you run? Throw your hat in. I definitely vote for you, Jeff. No problems whatsoever.
Well,
And
I'm
here's
not a
the other
natural
thing.
born citizen, Annie. That's the problem.
Dad, don't worry. You know, we'll just get the news media behind us. Don't worry about anything, Jeff. You know, this is what's going on. But here's my question that is a very serious question. I sit here and, I mean, I signed up to work the polls. I've done everything I can possibly do. What can Donald Trump do to stop the steal of this election? And not only that, but if we know that it's going on, who in the government is going to do anything about it? Because they're all corrupt. We're screwed.
Well, Annie, look, I think that's why yesterday's show for me was such an important show, because when we had Jay Valentine on, who's one of the top election fraud experts in the country, and he really laid out how the Democrats specifically are going to steal the election. And as he talked about, it's phantom voters, phantom votes, getting illegals, and then registering them to addresses. I mean, their addresses, as he said, it's 123 Main Street, but it's not a home. It's a convenience store. It's a gas station. It's a Walmart. It's a whatever. So then they have that person, they have the ballot sent to that person, that illegal is gone, but the Democrats have the ballot. And then these non-governmental organizations, as I said earlier, funded by Soros, funded by Zuckerberg, funded by Bezos, funded by Bill Gates, they collect these so-called phantom ballots, and it's just check, it was Biden, now it's Harris. Check Harris, just keep checking her off the box. And that's how they plan to steal it, by creating all of these extra phantom ballots and these extra phantom votes. Trump now has been made aware of this. So what I did was I got all that great information from Jay. I did even more research on my own yesterday, and I sent it off to many of his top people. And what I can tell you this is they're definitely now clearly aware of it, 1,000%. There are some very powerful people, very wealthy people close to Trump that now say this is exactly how the Democrats plan to steal it. And now they're going to execute a strategy to block him. They've blocked him on this issue. They blocked him in Wisconsin. They blocked him in Colorado. And now they're going to block him in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. And what's also happening today, Annie, huge development. Trump is going to be in Arizona. John F. Kennedy is going to be addressing the country today, also in Arizona. And it now appears almost a certainty that Bobby Kennedy is going to RFK Jr. is going to drop out of the race, and he's going to endorse Donald Trump, which is going to add millions and millions of extra voters to the Trump coalition. The Democrats are in full panic mode. 9:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, we're going to go right to your calls, but first, joining me now, as she always does at this time, the CEO, president of Kelly Financial Services, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. If you're worried about paying too much for your medications, last week's news that Medicare negotiated lower prices for cancer, diabetes, and other drugs might feel like some relief is on the horizon, but it may not be as much as you think. A Wall Street Journal article highlighted that the lower prices could save Medicare billions, but that might not translate into much in the way of savings for many seniors. Kelly Financial have a free investor guide called Are You Prepared for Healthcare Costs in Retirement that contains strategies for covering such costs. We can review your cash flow to ensure you're on track for your desired retirement lifestyle. For the guide or to set up a free retirement consultation, give us a call or email Kelly at kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I will continue this conversation with our Kelly advisors tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in or go to our website for our radio rewind. Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. My best to Grace and the kiddos.
Thank you, Kelly. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And my best to everyone at Kelly Financial. If you want to set up a free retirement consultation, and I urge all of you to do it, call 888-800-1881, 888-800-1881, or better yet, email Kelly at, and this is her email address, at Kelly at kellyfinancial.org. That's Kelly at kellyfinancial.org. Okay, super quick as the lines are jammed. This is Harris. You want to talk about the lies and the half-truths and the propaganda and the mis and disinformation. Holy mackerel. Did she go crazy on abortion? Listen now to this. How you can lie like this is, I mean, the woman really is, she's a modern day Pinocchio. Except instead of a big nose, she just cackles. The more she cackles, the more she's lying. You know, Pinocchio's nose gets bigger every time he lies. She just cackles and cackles and cackles. Listen to this. Roll cut 5, Mike.
And women have told me their stories. Husbands and fathers have shared theirs. Stories of women miscarrying in a parking lot, developing sepsis, losing the ability to ever again have children, all because doctors are afraid they may go to jail for caring for their patients. Couples just trying to grow their family, cut off in the middle of IVF treatments. Children who have survived sexual assault, potentially being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. This is what's happening in our country because of Donald Trump. And understand, he is not done.
I mean, it's The Handmaid's Tale. That's what this is. It's The Handmaid's Tale. Another fiction. Now, again, what is incredible to me, show me where a woman that was raped was forced to carry her pregnancy to term. Show me just one example. One. I don't care. Go to Mississippi, go to Alabama, go to Louisiana, go to the deep South, go to the Bible Belt. Show me where that's ever happened after they overturned Roe v. Wade under the Dobbs decision. This is horse crap. I'm sorry. This is nonsense. This is garbage. It's pure fear-mongering. It's pure panic porn. Remember what they said after Dobbs? They said, millions of women are going to have back alley abortions. Millions of women are going to die. They're going to be dying. This guy hasn't fallen. Here's Trump's position. Leave the issue to where it belongs. The states. Let Massachusetts be Massachusetts. Let California be California. Let Utah be Utah. Let Kansas or Iowa be Iowa. In other words, let each state and the people of each state decide what they want to do on this very contentious issue. Leave it to the people through their state legislatures, i.e. democracy. And instead, there's going to be no in vitro fertilization. Sepsis. You know, as Sandy said to me before the show began, she goes, where does she come up with this stuff? Where do you come up with lies like this? One more. And look at the straw man that they build up. So they build up this evil straw man and then say, these Republicans are crazy. Well, yeah, but you're lying. Roll cut 5A, Mike.
As a part of his agenda, he and his allies would limit access to birth control, ban medication abortion, and enact a nationwide abortion ban with or without Congress. And get this, he plans to create a national anti-abortion coordinator and force states to report on women's miscarriages and abortions. Simply put, they are out of their minds.
Simply put, you're a disgusting liar. Simply put, that's what you are. I mean, and look at these lemmings. Ah, ah. Oh my God, are they dumb? No, I'm sorry. I can't believe I'm saying this. Okay, so you could this is history in the making now. Somebody called the Vatican because a miracle is now about to occur. I'm going to praise Bill and Sudbury. These lemmings in that convention make Bill in Sudbury look like Einstein, like a genius. Holy mackerel. So let me get this straight now. Where did you come up with this? He's going to create a national coordinator for abortion? Complete lie. He's going to prevent women from having access to birth control? Complete lie. Bull, you know what? BS. Enact an abortion ban across the country, even without Congress? No, here, honestly, here. Why stop there? He's going to legalize pedophilia. Yes. He's going to create a secret police where they're going to go out and rape your children. That's what they're going to do. I mean, at this point, what the hell, man? If you're going to BS and lie like this, go all the way. This is a disgusting, obscene, vile speech. To say it's dishonest is an understatement. To say it's a pack of lies is an understatement. And this horse crap is what the media is going on about. Magnificent. Oh, in the annals of convention history. Oh my God. This is one of the greatest of all time. Trump should call her out over and over and over and over and over again. This is naked fear-mongering. They're trying to now create mass hysteria. That's all this is. As I said, turn this man into the second coming of Hitler. He's a monster. And they're whipping up so much fear and so much paranoia and so much panic. And there's not one thinking person in that entire convention center. There's not one honest journalist that is willing to call all this out. 9:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston Bulldozer, best audience in the business. I'm telling you right now, best audience in the business. Listen to this. This is from Eric on Messenger. Jeff, I'm starting to think Kamala's speech could have been written by Stephen King. It's that scary and that fictional. Oh, bingo. Eric, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. I mean, I'm looking at this. I'm looking around. I'm like, and they're buying all this? You listen to his speech, and I'm like, this is incredible. And then they're, Kamala. Jeff in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I love you the way Tim Walz loves Kamala. Jeff, I just want to say one thing. Thank you Thank you. Did you see her thank you speech last night at the beginning?
No, I know.
She said it 60 times.
No, I know. She thanked everybody. She wouldn't stop thanking people.
Hey, and let me tell you, who needs Beyonce or Taylor Swift when you can get the best word salad delivered fresh by Kamala herself? That was great stuff. Jeff, my assessment of last night is this. If you can read a teleprompter with passion, and if you can bash President Trump, then that's all the qualifications you need to be president. That's it, at least by the Democrats.
No, you're dead on. You are dead on. That's exactly what I was thinking. They're going, oh, magnificent. Oh, she's so charismatic. By the way, New York Times today, lead editorial, she's presidential. Last night's speech showed she's presidential. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, all she did was read the teleprompter with a little bit of zest, a little bit of pep, a little bit of gusto, and just vilify and demonize Trump. That's it. Oh, and lie through her teeth. So if you lie, read a teleprompter, and bash Trump. Hey, Jeff, do you want to be president? Jeff, we can arrange it for you, my friend.
Prompter, I think I'm qualified. Hey, let me tell you, if Kamala wins, they have to up their game at the next convention in 4 years. So in addition to abortion, mobile trucks and procedures for men, they're going to have like transition trucks. You know, come in as a man, leave as a woman.
Bridgewater, Carol, how are you?
Fine. How are you, Jeff?
Great to hear from you, Carol.
I just am a little concerned at their messaging. They're looking at the lemmings that were there that seemed like they were just totally bewitched by her, so to speak. And I'm afraid since Common Core and everything they've been doing with indoctrination, we have from millennials on down people that are now of voter age that will be willing to just walk off that cliff. This is my main concern, how much they've been dumbed down. And you know, for years I've been going on about their education because that's what our future voters are.
You know, Carol, if you don't mind me asking you this question, and I'd love to ask, we don't have time now, but next week I want to get into a discussion about this. Are women this obsessed? I mean, I don't deal with liberal women. I just don't, right? I mean, I have my wonderful wife, and I mean, I talk to people. I know some, but I don't sit down and have, coffee with them or lunch with them or whatever. Are liberal women, especially those in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, are they that obsessed with abortion? Because this is the image the Democrats are giving. It's like, no, really, it's like, I got to be able to abort at any time. I have to be able to abort it even at the 9th month. Even after that baby is alive, if I want to kill it, I should be allowed to kill it. Like, do women obsess about abortion? And are they like, I can't get birth control. I can't get access to the pill. I can't get my partner to get a condom. I just can't do it. We just can't do it. Like, what's going on here? I mean, really, am I missing something? Is that what women will talk about and just constantly, endlessly fixate on? Is how I need an abortion, I want an abortion, I love abortions. The more abortions, the better. Carol, is that your experience with liberal women?
Yes, and at times I talk to a lot of these people. I try to have a debate, and of course I get screamed at about abortion, and I said, fine. When and if we go into
Carol, you just dropped on us. I don't know what happened. Maybe you hit a dead zone. Oh, anyway, so she says yes. Like, I always thought this is a hyper exaggeration on the part of Democrats. That they're just inflaming passions, not reflecting, like how people actually feel. But maybe I'm wrong. So anyway, next week I want to ask women, when you talk to liberal women, feminists, are they really that utterly neurotically obsessed about abortion that it's the centerpiece of their life, it's the only thing, it's everything, and nothing else matters? Do I have time for one more call, Mike? D in Middleborough. D, I've got 1 minute. The floor is yours. Go.
Okay, Jeff, I have a lot on my list, and I'm going to do it really fast because I'm on fire. First of all, the whole DNC was nothing more than a pep rally. It's team, we've lost every game. My plan was no good, but we're going to continue it because we're not going to go back to when things were working. Secondly, as far as children suffering from sexual assault,
D, we're going to return to this, I promise. But I agree with you completely. It had the feel of a loser pep rally. And so now we're going to find out if the Democrats get any bounce out of the convention. And remember, big announcement, Trump, RFK today. Bye-bye.